What is up, ScreenCrush? Welcome back. My name is Ryan Harry, and today we got a fun one. I'm excited to talk to you guys and our special guest that I'm going to bring on in just a second, because today we are talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but specifically, and I don't want this to be a big thing where we gripe a lot, but I want to talk about some of the mistakes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, specifically related to character mistakes, the characters that we think maybe were done dirty by the Multiverse Saga. Number one on my list, and probably your list, is Wanda Maximoff. I have asked a question: what other MCU characters do you want to see done right, in the live chat there? And also, if you want to throw us a super chat, that's great. We don't require it, but if you want to throw us a super chat, we will do our best to shout you out. So here's what prompted this line of thinking from us about Wanda Maximoff. So a while back, we're going to talk a little bit about leaks here. I don't know if these leaks are real or not, but they're an interesting thought conversation. Good starter point. A while back, though, and this was pretty much collaborated everywhere, My Time to Shine Hello leaked what was the original idea or plot for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Scott Derrickson was going to direct the sequel. He left for creative differences, and they brought on Michael Waldron, who, of course, we know from Loki, and also Sam Raimi to direct. Originally, the antagonist was going to be Nightmare, the classic Doctor Strange villain, and Wanda was going to team up with Doctor Strange to defeat him. And apparently, early in the movie, Baron Mordo was going to show up trying to steal Wanda's power, and then she was going to decapitate him. So whenever Doctor Strange, whenever he goes to see Wanda and she drops the illusion, we would have seen Baron Mordo's head in a box. So this was also collaborated by Beau DeMaio, who was fired by Marvel shortly before. So Beau DeMaio basically DGAF, he'll say whatever comes to mind, and he's got no reason to lie. So it's probably that was the original intention. The point is, Wanda was not going to be a villain initially in Multiverse. They were going to maybe have that turn come at the end of the movie. But then Michael Waldron came in and was really interested in having her be the villain, even though he had not seen WandaVision. And this is why there was such a weird disconnect between these two projects. You know, if you went straight from watching WandaVision to Multiverse of Madness, you felt like you missed something. You know, we talked a lot about how it was the influence of Chthon, but that influence happens off screen. It was a more abrupt heel turn than Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. You know, when Anakin goes straight from, oh, I love you, Obi-Wan, you're like a brother to me, to killing kids in the temple. So Elizabeth Olsen wasn't cool with this either, by the way. There was an interview she did, I believe, with Vanity Fair. We have a clip here. It's 19 seconds. I don't know if we can show the whole thing, where she basically talks about how she wasn't happy with what they were doing, and she tried to kind of align it with WandaVision. Let's watch that.
It's a similar arc in Multiverse of Madness that it is in WandaVision. There could be parallel stories being told there of dealing with grief and loss. Well, I proposed that to the writers who wrote Multiverse of Madness. I said, do you know what we're doing in WandaVision? Have you seen it? And no, they had not seen it because it wasn't finished yet.
So there you go. That was an example of early on Marvel trying to collaborate between the movie studio and TV, and not quite getting it right. They hadn't smoothed out that production pipeline, which they are doing better at. Apparently, with Spider-Man Brand New Day and Daredevil Born Again, they're talking to each other a lot to make sure that the characters like Punisher, who are going to be in both things, kind of have a seamless transition, which is really cool. Now we've got a couple of leaks about Wanda implying that she and at least Magic will be in the movie that I'm pretty excited about. So I want to talk to these. I want to tell these to my friends here that we're going to bring on. We have regular here on the channel, editor, writer extraordinaire. We have Lee Mazzio. How you doing, Lee?
Hello. Good, thanks. Excited to be here and talk about what could have been Wanda and what might be.
And whatever other Marvel characters you guys think maybe we should see more of. So yeah, Lee normally is the guy we have talk about DC stuff, but he's into just all things comics, and I'm glad to have your expertise. And we also have here Doug's attorney and stand-up comedian Mike Mazzella. How you doing, buddy?
Hey guys, doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Mike, you're really, really glitchy and rickety on my end. You sounded almost robotic there. I don't know why that would have been. Lee, did you hear that too?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave you on for a while, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It wasn't a little bit ago, but sorry, people watching. This is we did test this out earlier, but all of a sudden the internet connection seems like it's messing up on us.
Live entertainment, folks.
Yeah, live entertainment. We'll keep you on there for as long as we can, but hopefully your internet straightens itself out. Okay, guys, here's what we're talking about today. Alex Perez, who's a pretty reliable leaker. I don't know if when it comes to leaks, they could be spoilers. They could just be rumors. They could be based on an early draft of a screenplay, whatever. He did mention that a lot of the rules that were discussed in WandaVision are a part of this movie. And here's what I 100% believe. Somebody asked him what specifically, and he said over on Cosmic Circus, a good portion of it goes into exploring the supernatural, meaning a good portion of this movie. And there's the quote up on screen. The Darkhold, the runes, the way Agatha absorbs magic, it's all relevant to something that Doom does in Avengers Doomsday. Now, what I think is interesting about that is the way Agatha absorbs magic. So what we can presume from this, because it's about Dr. Doom, is that Doom is trying to gather power. This is the subject of every Secret Wars comic and almost every great Dr. Doom story. Sounds like he's absorbing magic. Lee, what are your initial thoughts on that little tidbit before we get to the other Wanda-centric spoilers?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people at ScreenCrush know that I'm not the most optimistic about Doomsday, but this definitely made me feel more so optimistic than not. Especially just the mention of the supernatural and magic in general. I feel like we've been doing a lot of connecting Doom to Tony, and there's been a lot of forgetting that he's next in line for Sorcerer Supreme and has been Sorcerer Supreme in multiple issues. And so I think that it's very important that this is something that's being explored in Doomsday. And the absorbing powers thing, I mean, yeah, like you said with Secret Wars, I just think that if we were to ignore the mystical side of Doom, we wouldn't be doing his character justice, really. And there's a whole thing with, I know that they also mentioned Doctor Strange in this leak, and I think that the Doom and Doctor Strange connection is, I mean, of course, Secret Wars, but there's also one of the comic runs where he does become Sorcerer Supreme. It's because he goes against Doctor Strange and like backpedals on him. And I think that their relationship could mirror what happened in Infinity War with Doctor Strange and Thanos and the Time Stone. So yeah, I just feel like this little sprinkle of mysticism, as opposed to just like evil Tony Stark, has made me feel more confident in the Russo's ability to do Doom.
Well, the cool thing too that you saw a little bit of, like when Doctor Strange came out, a lot of people said, "Oh, it's just like Iron Man," and I was like, "Well, they're made by the same guy, so there's a reason they have similar origins." But we did get like a lot of them, like when he looks at Tony and says, "Unlike everyone else in your life, I don't work for you." That's, you know, a pretty mean thing to say to a guy who's married his former assistant. So, or at that point, were they married? No, they were engaged at that point. I like that there are very similar people who would butt heads, and they basically would become Sorcerer Supreme on the fast track the same way because they're both geniuses, right? There is this other thing that's pretty dope though about, I've heard this theory that when Doctor Strange saw 14 million possibilities, he says we only won in one of them, but maybe that one was also the one where Tony Stark did not become Dr. Doom. And in all the others, he saw something even worse looming. And that's why there was only one possibility. I don't know, Mike, what are your thoughts on this mysticism and Doom's plan in Doctor Strange?
Well, I think there was a really key plot point that occurred at the end of Multiverse of Madness that I think everybody forgets about that is definitely going to have an impact on this version of Doctor Doom. How am I doing on the audio? Are we good?
Bad, man. It's bad. I'm so sorry. But finish your thought, though. I'm really sorry. We'll
at the end of Multiverse of Madness, Wanda destroyed the Darkhold not only in her universe, but in every universe. And I think that the Doctor Doom that we were going to see in Doomsday certainly had a copy of the Darkhold that suddenly disappeared. And then maybe that was the impetus for why he needs to go and seek more power. He had this great source of cosmic, dark energy magic, chaos magic from Chthon, from the Darkhold, and then suddenly no longer had that resource. He has to fill that power void somehow.
I love that point. Especially, I never thought about that before. We always get those scenes of people being dusted, but we never get like the scenes of evil sorcerers in other dimensions going, what the hell? What happened to my book? Mike, I will say your audio is pretty bad. Because it keeps doing this weird like ribbit sound. I don't know what it is on your end. Can you double check that your inputs and everything are set to your headphones and all that stuff? I'm not sure what would be causing it. Or maybe you do input into your mic. would work.
I'll figure it out.
That's okay. I'll drop you off just for a second. Okay, just send us a message when you're ready. Okay, Mike. Lee, what did you think about what Mike said there?
Yeah, I aside from the Doom voice, I agree. I think that it'd be really interesting to see. Again, like I just think that Doom as a not only genius but more of a mystical type being is more fascinating to me than anything. And I think that with the whole absorbing powers thing, I forget what video we had mentioned this in, but I think it was the Doom in Wakanda one where we talked about the light show and how he made an astrolabe to circumvent the I forget what the theory was in general, but
I'll step in there. Colton did one, then I did one. Basically, an astrolabe is used to map the universe. So the idea was that by building an astrolabe, if the light show is correct, that by building that astrolabe, he would be able to create his own universe by like mapping it to different points. Then I did a follow-up about how that's probably why he wants vibranium. I was really proud of that video too.
Yes. No. I liked it. And I think that on top of that, with the absorbing the powers, especially with, I mean, if we're going with the stealing kids theory of taking Franklin in love, with that, he could infuse any technology with that magic if he were to absorb it. And we've already been seeing Marvel introduce that concept in the MCU with Ironheart.
Very true. And I do want to see me some more Mephisto. I really, really love Sacha Baron Cohen in there. So if there is a way to shoehorn him in, this goes back to like what I'm going to talk about in a second about like there's so many damn characters in the saga. And it makes you think like if Sacha Baron Cohen shows up, are people going to be like, wait, Borat's in this? What's going to happen? Mike, give us a check 1, 2. What do you got?
Mic check. On mic 1, 2.
Way better. Way better. So glad to have you back. All right. Lee was just.
It's so funny to me not knowing what I sounded like during that portion of the show. I'm going to watch this back later and just hear Doom voice, Ultron.
You froze for a second, but that's okay. We'll keep you on. All right, let's get into the next part of this. So this is, I'm going to read some verbatim stuff here about what the rumor is about Wanda, and it's not really much of a spoiler, right? Let's talk about this, and I want to talk about how we obviously knew she was alive. A user asked, what's Wanda's role look like in Doomsday? And Alex Perez responded with, all I can say at the moment is that her involvement is slightly unexpected. Now, that to me, it's only important for one thing. It confirms she's alive. However, I always thought she was alive, if for no other reason than Kevin, when they were talking about making Chthon, remember Chthon is the evil entity that drove her crazy in Multiverse of Madness. When they were at first talking about making him the villain, Kevin Feige said, no, we want to save that for maybe a future Scarlet Witch movie. Again, this is according to like leakers and things like that. So that alone tells me, I mean, look, there's nobody there. I don't think that they set up this WandaVision trilogy where her kids come back to life and not bring her back. Elizabeth Olsen, though, it seems like really wasn't happy with Multiverse of Madness because for a while she was like, no. Maybe she was in contract negotiations or something. But now she's very much like saying nice things about Marvel again in public. So maybe they did like give her a sweet ass deal for a solo film. Also, hey man, WandaVision revealed that her powers are innate. The mutant saga is about to start. She could be a mutant. They could be doing that whole thing too. So that's what we know. We know. Do you guys have any thoughts on what her unexpected role could be in this? What are we not thinking here?
I mean, my hope is always they follow along the Children's Crusade arc, especially just if you have Doom and Wanda, that's the first thing that pops in my head. Unexpected, though, I mean, if you don't know the story, I could see that as unexpected. Maybe they could do the whole Wanda dies and it's just a Doom bot. That's the unexpected thing.
You mean like in Austin Powers 2 with Elizabeth Hurley at the start? Look, man, the Children's Crusade is the obvious way to go because we know we're getting the Champion/Young Avengers. That's like the seminal Young Avengers story after Iron Lad left. If you guys haven't read it, it's about Billy and Tommy realizing that they're Wanda's kids and going to find her. You know, she disappeared after House of M, and they find out Dr. Doom is shacking up with her and he's going to marry her and steal her power because that's what Dooms do better than anything else. That's what I expected.
Doom's going to do.
Doom's going to do, man. I also expected her to like restart the universe after Secret Wars, but now that might be Franklin. Yeah. Mike, what about you? You got any theories on what unexpected role she could have?
Yeah, I think we're going to see Wanda. I think she's going to pop up. I think she's just not going to be on the home team. I think she might be the daughter of Magneto, and that she's going to be allied with the rest of the mutants and the X-Men on their side. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to see that happen in live action. And I also think that that is then an avenue to also reintroduce Quicksilver. We get Pietro there as well. And maybe that's a way to bring Aaron Taylor Johnson back, because I missed that version of Silver's Quicksilver. I'd like to see him return.
Yeah, and there was we talked about this a few days ago. So when Ian McKellen went on the internet and said that he destroyed New Jersey the other day, Alex Perez, again, he's given us a ton of stuff to talk about this week, tweeted a picture from the comic book Ultimatum, which we have a video coming out about this tomorrow about like the X-Men being the villains and stuff like that. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't miss it. But Ultimatum is a story from the Ultimate Universe where Magneto goes a little bit crazy because his kids die, because Wanda and Pietro are killed, and he uses Thor's hammer to augment his powers, and he basically like destroys a lot of stuff and kills a lot of heroes and villains. So basically they cleaned house in the Ultimate Universe. Yeah. I love your idea that, you know, the other thing that kind of came out is that there's a mutant human utopia. How do they achieve that? Maybe because Wanda has been staving off incursions this entire time because the Scarlet Witch is in this other reality. So you're right, may not be our Wanda. I do think our Wanda's alive, though. I mean, there's a reason why we saw that statue of her in the Void in Deadpool and Wolverine, right?
Yeah, 100%. I love Wanda. I am forever mourning that we've only really seen Scarlet Witch Wanda as a villain. Like, we got that 10 seconds of her beating Agatha at the end of WandaVision, and then just monster. And so I would hate for that to be the end of the Scarlet Witch. I think that either she has a redemption arc, or she sacrifices herself, has a no more mutants, but maybe like a no more multiverse type thing to restart the timeline. But yeah, I just think having her, especially having an actress like Elizabeth Olsen play her, and then only having her pinnacle moment be her being evil, just kind of seems like throwaway casting and throwaway character.
They got to reunite her with her boys in Vision. I'm sorry, but like,
yeah,
obviously was a show about grief and about, you know, and I don't want to undermine that. It'd be like if the parents got back together at the end of Mrs. Doubtfire. That's not the point of the movie. It's about like learning to deal with divorce. But come on, man. The only thing I'm wondering is if they do get this Scarlet Witch solo movie, like, okay, I don't know if you guys read it, but her solo comic's great. She goes around with Agatha's ghost solving crimes. No notes. That sounds like another TV show to me. And I don't necessarily want or give a crap about seeing her go toe-to-toe with Chthon, who's basically a big monster in the comics. And there's nothing interesting about him. However, I would very much like to see her go toe-to-toe with Mephisto, if he's not going to be the villain in a Midnight Suns movie. What do you guys think? If we get a Scarlet Witch solo film, and you guys in the comments too, let us know. What do you want to see happen in that, or who does she go up against?
Yeah, I would love to see her go up against Mephisto.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I'd love to see her just, have that hero moment. I think, more to Lee's point, like her entire arc has been her being either outright a villain or being just a person that generates fear amongst all of the people around her, right? She starts out as a villain in Age of Ultron. She causes a mass catastrophe in Lagos at the start of Civil War, and then everybody's afraid of her. It's because of that basically the entire impetus for that movie, the Sokovia Accords, is created in response to what Wanda did. So it kind of feels in that moment like the whole world hates her. Then she loses the people that she cares about most. She indoctrinates and mind controls an entire town of people and goes like full villain in Multiverse of Madness. We've never really seen her as a hero. We've seen her as a person that means to do well, but ultimately ends up unintentionally causing harm to those around her. And then we've also seen her as a person that is dead set on a malicious goal. But we've yet to see her as a person that just wants to do good and defeats evil and doesn't compromise in any way and can inspire hope, because that's what heroes are supposed to do.
Yeah.
I do think there was that brief moment in Civil War when she was part of the Avengers team, and a part of that too, she was the first Avenger to be locked up, and she not only that, but she was locked up by the guy she liked. Like Vision they were kind of vibing each other, and then he wouldn't let her leave her room.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember how weird it was in like the fall of 2022 when little girls were dressed up as the Scarlet Witch at Halloween? That's kind of like in 2019 if little girl was dressed up as Dragon Queen Daenerys. You know what I mean? Like a little bit like, okay, I get it, but she didn't end up a role model. I remember seeing that and going, that's weird. It's like kids dressing up as Squid Game characters. It was strange.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to some of these comments here. We got a couple super chats I want to address. Thank you guys for those. And we have a lot of answers on who needs to be redeemed. First of all, Cider Barrel gave us $10. $10. That's nice. We're not going to spend it all in one place. I would love to see Rogue's comic origin by having her steal Captain Marvel's power. She is not so overpowered. So she's not so overpowered anymore. That's interesting. Captain Marvel is very, very, very overpowered in the MCU. And I like me a Rogue who's super strong and can fly. It also, that's a key part of Rogue's personality too, that she's got two people in her brain. That's like a key part. Like she's got her own twisted mind psychosis that Professor X helps her with. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'm down for any Rogue in the cinematic universe that is not just sad emo Rogue. As much as I love the original X-Men movies, we didn't get the Rogue that I wanted, in my opinion. I mean, X-Men 97 to me gave me all the like I felt like every character I saw was like, that's it, they got it. And if we could just get that on screen, I would be so happy. But also, I mean, that means more Captain Marvel. I love Carol. I think that she has some of my favorite characterization in the comics that has just been completely sidelined in the MCU. And so I think any opportunity to have more origin and more character development between characters that we've either just let go to the wayside or just haven't had yet, I'm completely down for.
Have you guys ever heard the Kelly Sue DeConnick quote about Carol that she told Feige and those guys? So in the book, Random Marvel Studios, great book. So there's this part where Kelly Sue DeConnick, I think wrote like the best Captain Marvel story, like the definitive. You're going to say here's Captain, like it's this, right? She gets the character better than anybody else alive. And she had a call with them, and she had a talk, and left the office, and she was thinking about it. And she called them back and called Kevin, because that's what you do, and said, "Yeah, what you have to understand." And I apologize for the salty language here. She said, "The thing about Carol is she never gives up." And he said, "Yeah, like Steve Rogers, I can do this all day." And she said, No, it's different. Carol never gives up because fuck you. And that's Carol Danvers. And I'm waiting to see that in a movie in a way that's not just telling me it's happening, like I feel like the first one did. Mike, what about you? What are your thoughts on Rogue or any other character you think could be redeemed here? You mentioned Quicksilver already. We got one comment that agrees with him from Shapiro.
I think we definitely got to bring back Quicksilver. I want to see him. Rogue should definitely be a fully powered Rogue, whether we see that happen in this movie or it's already happened in that X-Men universe. Remember, Binary is over there, so it could have happened with her.
That's true.
Somehow she could have already gotten these powers from somebody else. If they chose to do it in this movie and she drained some of the power from the 616's Carol Danvers, I think that kills two birds with one stone. One, we get to see that super cool interaction, but it also kind of nerfs Captain Marvel in a way that makes her more relatable and connectable from a fan standpoint. It's like a lot of people, myself included, main criticism of Superman is like, dude's just OP. He's got no flaws. He can't, whatever. We can get into that all day. But it's, I know. We've talked about this before. You brought
a knife to a gunfight when you're talking to me.
I'm just throwing it out as an example. The point that I'm making is that I think that Carol Danvers as a character, we need to see more of the character flaw. We need to see her kind of get knocked around a little bit. We saw that a little bit in the Marvels where, she had to work as a team, and like that was her biggest hurdle that she had to get over, was just working with two other people. I'd like to see her, kind of really have to build herself back up after something like that. It could be kind of like the way that Hulk was treated in Infinity War, where it's like, okay, yeah, you're kind of on the bench for the beginning part, but you're going to come back in a big way later on. And then that attitude that the character Carol Danvers has, she sticks to it because F you. I think that's the attitude that Brie Larson has to have too. Screw the detractors and the people that have been talking bad about her and about the character. She nails that character. It's a great character that we should see more of. I want to see a little bit more of the sparks fly between her and Rhodey. I want there to be more like connections between the characters other than just they all get together once in a while to go and save the world or save the universe. One of my favorite parts of Age of Ultron is the party scene where they're all just like hanging out. Like I want to see these people interact, not in a, always in a big battle situation. And I think they've got a great story and great chemistry. She's got connections, obviously, now to Kamala Khan that can help get her more into the mainstream.
Well, she's going to be on the Champions, or Young Avengers, which I'm excited about. We got somebody here who agrees with you. Dagan5 gave us $5. Thanks so much. And I got to say, I think this person's 100% right about this comment. There's one character they feel like has been done dirtier than Wanda. Who do you think it is? Who do you guys think it is?
Rhodey.
I would say War Machine.
Rhodey.
Yeah.
Rhodey, you're right.
Yeah.
100%.
I've been screaming this from the mountaintops.
He should have been the next Iron Man. Even when they announced Armor Wars and the premise of it, everybody was like, yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, totally. That like is something we want to see. That sounds like a really natural result of this. And for some reason, the creative never clicked. Don Cheadle's been kind of a dick about it. I think Don Cheadle hates what happened to him in Secret Invasion, because it's like, wait, so if I would have known this during Endgame, I would have played this different, because he was playing Rhodey a little more feminine in Secret Invasion. Yeah, no, 100%. Got to have that. Got to have that. Callie Summers gave us $2 and said, in order of likelihood, Trish Walker, Shield, Cloak and Dagger. I haven't seen Jessica Jones season 3, so I can't comment on Trish Walker. I know.
I've also not seen season 3.
And I loved season 1, season 2. Not
and we are 3 for 3 on people that have not seen season 3 of Jessica Jones. Sorry.
She's an important character. First season of Jessica Jones, I will put up against any season.
Fantastic.
Great.
Incredible. I think that maybe after The Defenders, I kind of ran out of steam on the need to watch all of these the day they. I didn't even watch Punisher season 2 yet, or Iron Fist season 2.
I haven't seen Punisher season 3. I think I watched all of Luke Cage because I really liked that one.
Well, Luke Cage is great. I am doing this thing this year where I'm like, okay, what shows did I not finish? Right? I haven't finished Squid Game, for example. Right? So what do I want to finish? Because I need shows to wash dishes to. Right now, it's Cobra Kai for me. I really enjoy Cobra Kai.
Really?
Yeah, and no, I'm on season 6. I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of there. I like Peyton List, who plays Tori. I'm kind of looking at her and going, be a good X-Man. She might be a rogue. She's somebody who has, who, if they had to recast Captain Marvel, you want somebody with that kind of edge. I don't think she's a replacement for an Academy Award winner just yet, but anyways, do you guys got a show like that you're like currently diving into?
Mine's American Dad. I've been binge watching American Dad.
That's all right. American Dad's great. I don't really. It's harder to binge watch a comedy for me because after a while, I stop finding them funny. Like if it's the constant same, especially Seth MacFarlane. Mike, you got one?
Oh, well, after binge watching Wonder Man and finishing Fallout this week, I don't have a ton of time to watch shows all of the time, but when I am watching shows these days. Oh, let's see. I'm really liking A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I think that's
it's
great.
Yeah. Our Easter egg video went up today on that too. That was such a great episode.
Yeah, when I'm thinking about binging, the last thing I binged was Wonder Man. I think I watched Wonder Man in one sitting because it was just phenomenal. Couldn't put it down.
Yeah, don't want to get me started on that. Here we go. And Ma gave us $5. Thanks so much. Me and my dad love your channel. I'd love to ask if you think Squirrel Girl or Darkhawk would ever appear on screen. Squirrel Girl, I think, is only a matter of time, but I think she'll be a television show. This is the character whose superpower is like just talking Galactus out of eating planets. Darkhawk? Did I miss some Darkhawk since the 90s, guys? Has there been a big Darkhawk? Am I wrong on this? I had no idea.
I don't think so.
He got his powers from an amulet. He was part of a new breed of heroes introduced in the 90s. Who had his own book that was Darkhawk. I don't. I think we're much likely to see Nova, who's had scripts in gestation for a decade, than we will Darkhawk.
Would love to see Nova.
Yeah. Well, you've heard of Nova, which is another
Yeah.
favor over Darkhawk. I don't mean to make fun of you. I just never.
That's the bare minimum. We have to have heard of the person.
Well, I did
Yeah.
a tour when I went to visit New York City as a whippersnapper at age 19. We took a tour. Spider-Man conducted the tour, which is cool. Met Chris Claremont in an elevator. But there was a guy on tour with us who had a Speedball T-shirt on, and he kind of like looked like Speedball, the character, not cocaine. And he kind of like looked like he patterned his look after Speedball. And Spider-Man asked him, "Who's your favorite hero?" And he goes, "Speedball." And at this time, this is before Speedball destroyed a whole town and caused the superhero civil war. He was just this guy in the New Warriors. So I love that, like, this is the thing that James Gunn's great at, taking the most obscure hero ever and being like, nah, man, Peacemaker, this is my guy. Are you kidding me? This guy's amazing. All right. Quicksilver says from Shapiro, that's one we've gotten to. See, Callie Summers we've talked about. All right. Philorumba from Down Under. Thanks for coming to see us again. We appreciate it. He wants to see them do Thor justice, not slapstick idiot Thor. Before I get your responses, guys, I want to interject something. I thought Thor in Ragnarok worked because he wasn't slapstick. He was serious. He tried to be serious and he failed, because that's what heroes do. Throws a ball at the window, it hits him in the head. He keeps getting undermined because he doesn't believe in himself. Love and Thunder doesn't work. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think about that? Is Thor somebody who's going to get done right in Doomsday?
I think you're totally right about the difference between the way that he's portrayed in Ragnarok, the way that he's portrayed in Love and Thunder. And that's what makes the end of Ragnarok so cool, is that he's been so serious all the time. And then when it comes time to be serious, he goes all out and we get that amazing bridge fight scene. This one, I think he is going to be more serious again, because keep in mind, this is Dad Thor, right? Thor not only has the strength of Thor, but now he has Dad strength on top of it. So he's going to be gunning hard for Doom's neck. Like he's not holding back. I think this is going to be a very like brutal, no holds barred kind of Thor.
Yeah. I wonder if this is like, it's funny. There's a scene in City Slickers when this guy says, "You ever heard of people getting like superhuman strength, like when a mother's baby's in a car?" And I think that's what you're describing, right? And like two people in the comments just went, "I love City Slickers, Norman the cow." And hi to both of you guys. I don't know if that's what's going on with Thor though, because in that prayer, we did a video on this. He says, "Let me return home to her." I don't know if Doom is stealing kids, but that's me. In any case, he is out there fighting.
The dad strength extends to this situation, because if he doesn't come home to her.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Especially girl dads. I've heard that about girl dads. Yeah. They act like they're especially powerful. Let's see. We got a few comments, and this is great, asking for Nightmare versus Wanda. Nightmare is a great villain in the comics. I would say probably third in Doctor Strange's Rogue Gallery, behind Baron Mordo and Dormammu. I think that Baron Mordo has to be the bad guy in Doctor Strange 3, personally, especially since his second movie was hijacked by the Multiverse Saga. Nightmare would be great, especially since this is a character, Wanda, who was dreamwalking, who used dreamwalking in order to became corrupted by dreamwalking. It could have been Nightmare all along and not Chthon who was manipulating her. Or maybe Nightmare equals Chthon. Why not? They're just both evil gods from other dimensions. Could be. What do you guys think?
I mean, would you, with Nightmare equal Chthon, would you want them to combine the characters, or
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
they're very different characters in the comics.
Yeah,
but honestly, I'm of the class of people who gives a shit about Chthon. I didn't care about him in the comics. I don't care about him in the movies.
That's fair. I would be down for that, solely because I feel like Multiverse of Madness didn't really give itself any chance to breathe, really, in terms of like Wanda becoming evil and just everything it introduced with Chthon. I think it got caught up in the multiverse and the madness of that. Because I just feel like it was Wanda's here, Wanda's evil, this is her plan, Wanda dead, instead of figuring out things. And I don't think it really gave us a chance to see Doctor Strange go up against any of the mystical arts. It was just kind of Doctor Strange went up against himself. and then Wanda did everything else.
Well, that was the theme
so
of the
I think-
movie. I mean, it was about
Yeah.
Strange, which is why I keep saying the Illuminati should have been a council of strangers. But sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah. No, you're good. I just think that it would make the most sense to continue the arc that it started and just very abruptly ended, especially if they hinted at Wanda being alive like that. I think it is an opportunity for redemption, maybe, if that's not what we ultimately get with her Doomsday role.
Yeah, I agree. Anything that can shed light on her heel turn, I think is just really what I'm looking for. That's mostly where I'm at with that. Whether it was an outside influence, hell, if they want to say it was Doctor Doom the whole time, I'm also cool with that. I kind of got lost in the sauce there because I was thinking about that movie and about how I love the zombie ending, how it was about him not having to save the day. And that's one reason, like, with all the problems with that film, when you got like zombie Doctor Strange telling a teenage girl to go kick the Scarlet Witch's ass, I got a lot of love for that moment. I definitely do.
You can't hire Sam Raimi and not have zombie Doctor Strange. Like that just kind of comes with him.
Right. Hey, we got a really special one to talk about here. Metasis, I'm sorry if I'm getting your name wrong, gave us $50 and says this is their 10th super chat on our live streams. That's incredible. Thank you so much. That is great. The rest of you are pathetic. You can't even begin to match this $50 we've just gotten.
You sound like a pastor at one of those predatory churches that's like, put more in the basket next time.
Yeah. Then ScreenCrush will love you even more. All right. So those are just a few characters I think have been done dirty. There's a few characters who maybe weren't done dirty, but were never done right, that I'm really hoping we can see them, because I think they need to interact with other characters. She-Hulk is somebody who I love She-Hulk solo books, the Dan Slott ones and the John Byrne from the 80s. They're great. But she's somebody who I think would be a lot of fun to see interact with a lot of different characters, especially Hercules, but that's a whole other thing from the comics. Do you guys have anybody who you're like, yes, this is somebody who, whether in Doomsday or afterwards, we really hope that they're going to get a moment that maybe they were lacking in these other films?
Moon Knight. I want Moon Knight back. I really enjoyed Moon Knight. I don't know if Oscar Isaac is on board or willing to do it, but I hope so, because I thought that show was fantastic. And I definitely want to see more of that character/characters. And I thought Scarlet Scarab was pretty cool too, and would like to see, what she brings to the table. Was her name Layla Faluli or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
Yeah.
I thought Moon Knight was underrated. It had a lot of great stuff going for it. He's great in it. I do think, though, it's a product. I'm curious what you guys think in the comments on YouTube. Moon Knight, to me, when you watch a TV episode, typically there, was usually an A, B, and a C plot, but this is very much like a mystery. Okay, who am I? Why is there this other thing happening? I'm down for that. My problem was they started to seem repetitive, because like every episode was about, all right, well, we got to go get this. And then the next episode, well, we got that, but now we got to go get this. And there were just a few things there where, like, the call to adventure, for example, happens like twice. First, it's Ethan Hawke, and then it's somebody else. And I just thought it could have been streamlined. And I also think all of these shows need more episodes, like the Daredevil bank heist episode. Just an episode. Just like have an episode of television. Yeah, Moon Knight's somebody, if we never see that character again, that's going to be a real shame. Because I think a lot of TV shows need like more time in a second season to get their bearings. And hell, man, you got Oscar Isaac on a television show. That's huge. And not to mention him teaming up with the Midnight Suns and Blade and whoever else comes along there. It's a match made in heaven. Imagine him with Agatha. She'd be like, Cthulhu, or not Cthulhu. She'd be like, oh my God, the moon god.
Imagine Doctor Strange knocks all three souls out of him at the same time.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Just like Russian nesting dolls. It's like Steven, Jake.
And I think Agatha would just be like, look down her nose so much at Khonshu. Like, are you still around? Like, nobody cares about you anymore. Oh, an Avatar. Okay. All right.
Thor and Khonshu went through some crazy college years together. Like, they got history.
I hope, why was Khonshu not in Love and Thunder? Like, just wanted.
It would have been so funny to see him sitting there.
Just there. Just in the arena sitting. Just or any of the, look, I know, I understand production schedules, blah, 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 but like, you're talking about a CG character. He could have just been in the background. That's the kind of thing where I was like, there's all these little missed opportunities in the multiverse saga where I'm like, maybe nobody else cares, but I care deeply. Although I'm pretty sure, Moon Knight came out before Love and Thunder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in like March.
Yeah.
Right before I got COVID. All right, so let's see here. Bat 4103, I think it's Bat, B-A-A-T, says, I can't wait to see what Nightcrawler's role is going to be in Secret Wars. He's also in Doomsday. I saw SW and I thought you meant Star Wars, and I was like, he's in Star Wars? He's my favorite character, and this is the perfect movie to show his worth, like in the comics, LFG. Did you know, I didn't realize this, that the guy who played Nightcrawler in X-Men Apocalypse, who I think was he also in Dark Phoenix? I've wiped that movie. Okay. He was the original young Wolverine in X-Men Origins Wolverine. And then they had to recast him for some reason. I learned this today when I was filming a video about the X-Men cinematic universe. How about that?
You mean in that intro scene in X-Men Origins Wolverine where it's like, I don't know, it's like the 1800s or something, and he's in like a log cabin. He's a little kid. That's very cool. He was in Dark Phoenix, because that's when we get that scene of him going like full savage Nightcrawler with the swords and like on the train.
Right. Oh, man, I got to rewatch these movies, man. The last two, I only saw each of them once, and I don't hate them because they're X-Men movies, and I can't unless you're going to kill off Cyclops in the first 10 minutes, I can't hate your X-Men movie. But Nightcrawler is somebody who, obviously Alan Cumming, like what we got from him in that movie was perfect, right? Yeah. But he is somebody with so many other levels, right? There's this deep religious nature that he has, which we got in, do you guys remember this X-Men the Animated Series episode where like Nightcrawler witnesses to Wolverine and gets him to pray in a church by the end of it? You ever see that? The 90s, man. Yeah, children's TV in the 90s is way different. But yeah, we got.
I remember the episode where they revealed that Nightcrawler was the love child of Mystique and Sabretooth. That was an interesting one.
And I don't think Sabretooth is his dad in the comics. Mystique definitely is. In the movies, I think they were hinting that Azazel was his dad. Yeah. Because he can also teleport and kind of looks like him. But again, like when we start, that's the problem. One of the inherent problems with the X-Men is like the genetic aspect of it. It's like, well, then everybody, the mutants got to have a mutant kid. And, you know, like it can't, sometimes I think they can just be like a random person born with the Force. Like the mutant gene can pop up anywhere. And that's the point. But it gets treated like, Harry Potter, like it's all passed down through the bloodline. Matt with 2 T's has been a member for 2 months and says, shout out to Doug and Ryan. I think Doug's here right now. Doug?
Yeah, sorry. Yo, what's up? Matt with 2 T's. Excellent. I am Doug with no T's. Thank you for watching and being my friend.
There's Doug. I don't know why it crossfades to Doug every time. That's strange. Normally, when we cut to Doug, it's just a straight cut. But for some reason on lives, it's on a little bit of a delay. You know who else I think? I'm kind of big on the fact that Scarlett Johansson wasn't in the last battle in Endgame. And I keep harping on this, right? Yeah. That I think that was a huge mistake they made in Endgame because I think she should have been around in this saga. Sometimes I think characters get killed off too fast, or they should have been killed off way faster in the case of like Paul Rudd or maybe even Hawkeye. Is there somebody who you guys are thinking like, hey, it's their time to go in this? This is the person who it would be a meaningful death if they would just leave this universe now.
The cynic in me. Well, no, I'll save that for Secret Wars.
No, go. No, go.
I was going to say all of them. No, joking. But I mean, yeah, but I don't know, because I feel like I'm very much inclined to say Magneto or Professor X. Just, I think that they...
I mean, Professor X dying is like a Tuesday in the Marvel.
Yeah, we see them die all the time.
I mean, yeah, it'll be like his fourth one. I hope it's a good one this time. That'd be a change.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like if this truly is the last movie or the second to last movie, depending on what they do with Secret Wars. It just needs like a big death moment like that, but also with the amount of characters in it, how big is that death really going to be for everyone? Like it might be someone dies and 5 people are sad and the 70 other people are like, what was his name? Like,
well, the problem is too with the multiverse is death doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They can always, which is why in Doomsday, if what we actually see is the death of the multiverse and then other people dying out, then it can matter. I really hope that like if the mutants are villains in this, they get some kind of redeeming moment, especially if it's, you know, Professor Xavier, who I think like he died in Last Stand, terrible death. He died in Multiverse of Madness, pretty badass death, but still a death. Died in Logan, super sad. The guy's got to go out at least on a high note. It might be Patrick Stewart's last ever performance. You know, like you got to give him something cool to do.
I believe he did say this is his last acting job ever.
Wow.
So, I mean,
I've seen him in person. It's probably for the best. He's really up there. We got a lot of comments who are saying Loki, if you want a big character death.
Yeah.
Does it matter though? I mean, that's how Infinity War started.
I've got a practical one.
Okay.
Letitia Wright's version of Black Panther. It might be too soon because they kind of just introduced her as Black Panther, but I think they're moving towards replacing her. They were moving towards replacing her in the post-credit scene already. I don't think that. I think it, you know, obviously everyone knows that if Chadwick Boseman were still around, he would have been Black Panther in that movie. Sure. That was always the plan. And they,
in the
you know,
draft,
kind of slotted
she also
her in.
becomes Black Panther. I think they had 2 Black Panthers in the original draft, which is online. You can find.
Yeah,
it. But
and so then they had to kind of like pivot and make her the main focus. But what I'm thinking is maybe she doesn't die, but maybe she like takes a backseat or is like, you know, my place is in the lab and I'm, you know, doing all of this stuff. And for whatever reason, now her nephew is at an appropriate age to become the Black Panther and can take over.
Yeah, remember? Well, there's a rumor,
or maybe she's wounded in some way or something like that. They need to come up for a reason for why she's not going to be the Black Panther anymore, like after these next
I'll go
films.
to the Ta-Nehisi Coates comics have a great solution for that, where she becomes a sorceress. I think it's a perfect evolution for her character because she believed only in science and Wakanda forever, and then had to embrace the power of friendship to make the heart, to synthesize the heart-shaped herb. And when she saw a vision, it was Killmonger. So she has this adversarial relationship with magic. And her like tapping into the Panther goddess Bast in Doomsday, I think it'd be great. And the rumors persist that actor Damson Idris is, I think it's pronounced Damson, is heavily considered to take over Black Panther. And they have it. I mean, T'Challa Jr., Multiverse Saga, whatever, he grows up and he can carry on his father's legacy. In fact, I believe in Coogler's original version of Black Panther, or at least in a one iteration, there is an African tradition in some tribes where a father and their son go out hunting, and they cannot stop this journey, right? They're on this journey, but then something happens and he has to go on it, like Namor attacks. So he and his kid have to stay attached to each other throughout this movie. And that's kind of what it was originally going to be. So he's always kind of been there in the background, T'Challa Jr. They just kind of put him at the end because he didn't fit into the plot without T'Challa there. So yeah, no, I think that makes total sense. A lot of people in the comments, the switchboard kind of lit up when we mentioned this, are saying Ant-Man, which makes sense. I think we've been ready for Ant-Man to die as soon as he was introduced. Yep. Do you guys remember when we saw like BTS footage of Jonathan Majors training for Creed and people were like, Ant-Man's just screwed. Like that was the meme going around. And the other one's
he's got the ants.
Yep.
I kind of want Bucky to become Captain America for a little bit, like he does in the comics. He's a different version of Captain America from Sam or Steve. You know, he carried a gun. There were certain things about the character where he was a little bit edgier because of his experiences that I think would be interesting. I'll say this: Bucky is another character I don't think they've done right by. Making him into a congressman was stupid. I don't understand that at all. It was for 1.5 movies. He then just stops, and now he's in the Avengers. I love what they did with him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. His whole like making amends journey in Steve's notebook. There's all these little touches like that. Oh, I like 40s music. He doesn't want to move on.
That was great.
It was fantastic. Even everything with Baron Zemo and like that all worked so well in that series. We didn't know how good we had it. That series is underrated. But man, I don't know. Like, do you guys think this guy's got to go out on some heroic note? What if he then sacrifices himself for Steve or something like that?
I'm okay if he dies. I do think that I feel that this movie, either this movie or Secret Wars Part 1, I do think that he should die. I think that that would kind of bring him and Steve's journey full circle. Also, just like on a real life level, he is going to a different studio now, and I'm okay with that.
Love your transition. Lee, the moment they cast Sebastian Stan as like probably Harvey Dent, Lee was like, "Can we do a video?" I'm like, "Well, it's just an announcement." No, like give me like a list of things we can talk about. And I'm like, dude, Stranger Things dropped today. We can't do that. Like,
so I'm okay if he dies for other reasons.
Here's a great one. So Twisted Flop, we got to sign off pretty soon though, guys. Twisted Slop 62. That's a great username, by the way. Twisted Slop sounds like an all AI metal band. Said Scott Lang should have died defeating Kang. I agree, or at the very least trapped in the quantum realm. And apparently that was the original ending, but they didn't do it because the last two movies ended with somebody trapped in the quantum realm. My solution to that is just have him go, "Oh, not again, wah, wah," and then he's trapped in the quantum realm. There should have been consequences. But he says, or they say, he thinks Thor will be the one who dies because of Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that's just a gag in Deadpool and Wolverine. They took the footage from Thor the Dark Thor and they intercut it. They like put him in it. I don't think Thor is going to die because I think they want to do Thor 5. I think they want to end on like a really bitchin' note. I think they want to do War of the Gods, bring in Hercules, or some version of War of the Realms, maybe. I think that's where they want to go with it. They've set up Olympus as the villains of like the opponents of Asgard. If you think about this, right? It makes so much sense. It would have made sense if Asgard would have been more adversarial to Ross's government. Like there's a new superpower that's got literal superpowers. If they're not going to do that geopolitical thing with Asgard, like the Siege storyline from the comics, then at the very least, having Olympus like go to war against Asgard, destroy Asgard again, invade Earth, something like that. God, that would be awesome. Think about all the really cool Greek gods that you can bring into that. And then you can kill Thor if you want. But then bring back Jane so she can be Thor, because I love that story in the comics.
I don't think they'll kill Thor immediately after setting up Hercules like that and having it go nowhere so far. Yeah. I think that there's more coming for Thor.
Guys, here's a really fun but actually for us, okay? Monty G says, I think Bucky thought being a senator was a mistake too. Well, actually, Bucky was in the House of Representatives. He was not a senator. He represented a district from Brooklyn. Thank you, goodbye. Yeah, now he clearly realized it was not a good fit, because as soon as he could put on the leather and go out and shoot stuff, he went out there right away. Yeah. And Jimmy Ross, thanks again. Friend of the channel, gave us $5 more. Andrew Garfield's going to save Black Widow from falling. Nah! You got to admit, right? The multiverse saga has been hit and miss, but that moment in No Way Home, right? That is, you talk about a reward. Do you guys remember in Spider-Man 2 when Kirsten Dunst kisses John when he's laying on the couch and she kisses him upside down? That's an awesome moment that only works if you've seen the first film. But if you haven't seen the first film, you know, it's fine. It still plays. That moment from No Way Home is the version of that. It's like, if you remember Amazing Spider-Man 2 and you know what this means to him, then it really gets you, because Andrew Garfield's one of the greatest actors of his generation. And if you haven't, you think he's just really happy he saves Zendaya, and it all still works. Mike, by the way, who are you wearing today?
I'm wearing Wolverine.
And I love, do you know who the artist is on that? It looks really familiar.
I don't. It's just a shirt that has Wolverine on it. There's no issue number. There's nothing. It does look like maybe a 90s.
They got to credit the creatives, guys. It's just not right. Okay, we are going to have to wrap it up here. But oh my God, we just got a great one here. This is somebody who maybe wasn't done dirty, but my God, needs to show up again. And it's not the Inhumans, which I know Lee was jonesing for. It's Adam Warlock, man. Adam Warlock is such a great character in the comics.
Yeah.
He is like the key cosmic character. Will Poulter is amazing casting for him. I like the fact that he's kind of dumb in Guardians 3 because he starts off dumb in the comics. Man, I want my Adam Warlock, Star Fox, Pip the Troll, Eternals cosmic adventure story, but with no CGI. I wanted all practical effects like the 80s version of Wonder Man. What do you guys think?
Sign me up.
I'd love to see Adam Warlock again.
Yeah.
I think he's rocking with the new Guardians of the Galaxy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, if they want to do another Guardians movie or an Adam Warlock movie, there's a fantastic Adam Warlock story where they encounter a brutal galactic church that is run by his future self. Like there's like a million things you can do with that character from the comics, but those movies are expensive. And as we talked about yesterday, it seems like Disney might be tightening the purse strings on characters who are not guaranteed box office draws. All right, we're going to leave it there. Mike Mazzella, Lee Mazzio, you can find their social links below. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we also are looking forward to the Mutant Saga, like a lot of you guys are saying. And I want to remind you guys that you can find us on our free-to-join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.